I'm sorry. Really, really, really sorry. I'm sorry! I don't know how else to say it. I'm sorry. Hi folks, it's me, GhostCritic, with another roundup of the last week's comic books that I've read, and basically what I thought of them. There's quite a few to get through, so let's get cracking. Let's begin with Revival issue 14, and I'm sorry, but I mean, this has been hanging around on my shelf for the last couple of weeks. This didn't come out this week, and there's something about Revival as a series that kind of has me at odds. The way I read my comic books are I put the best at the top and read them first, and then the ones that I'm kind of not particularly interested in rushing to read I put at the bottom. So Revival kind of gets pushed to the bottom, but with this issue I was like, oh, I'll read it later, I'll read it later. 2 weeks later I get round to reading it. And the fact is, it's not a bad comic at all. I really, really enjoyed this. So I don't really get what my problem is just reading this when I get it. Finally, we get, well, a little bit more information about these kind of ghostly, alien-looking white creatures that are running around the woods. And Tim Seeley, the writer, seems to be pushing forward, or the characters think that these are the elements of, or for want of a better, the souls perhaps, of the revivers, these people that have died and come back to life. These are just kind of wandering around, and once they find their, I guess, the reviver that they were attached to, once they merge, they properly die and don't come back. At least that's the kind of impression I'm getting. But I'm thinking, why isn't there more of these wandering around? Because there are a lot of people that have been, have come back to life. We've got Emma and that creepy kid, Em and the creepy kid, well, basically maybe getting attacked by one of these creatures, and Em is trying to save the creepy girl's life. But does the creepy girl really want to be saved? There's a nice little bit of action in there. Em taking it down. There's a bit of sauciness with Emma. She's getting down with her teacher. And of course, there's that really, really creepy girl, last scene, last page, which is quite horrific. Tim Seeley might not have doing a great job on this book, and I don't understand why I keep leaving it to read. Okay, we've got a double hitter here. Again, this was another title that I'd left to read for a couple of weeks, and I'm surprised. Well, I'm not actually. This is Wolverine and the X-Men, and of course they've been roped into the latest Battle of the Atom storyline. So it's another crossover tie-in. You've got your main event book, if you want to call it that, and you have all the kind of satellite titles going around. I'll put one of these down for now. And oh, I know I say this every time, and I'm sorry, but I really do despise these kind of event books where you have to read all the parts for all the titles, or you're meant to get the whole story. Because I only pick up Wolverine and the X-Men. I don't get any other X titles in our regular Marvel universe. So I haven't a clue what's going on. I kind of get that the teenage versions of the original X-Men have come back from the past. We've got this, what they thought were the X-Men of the future come back to the present. Obviously Cyclops and Wolverine are at loggerheads as usual, and people want to go home back to where they came from. Some of them don't. The X-Men from the future aren't really the X-Men, but the real X-Men from the future are coming back as well. head is exploding. I'm sure this is very easy to follow for anyone who's getting all the other titles, but for me, I've got like part 5 and part 9 here. So I've already missed the first 4 parts, missed another 4 parts in between, and there's probably a few more to go, and I'm never going to know how it ends. But it is a lot of fun to read. There's lots of action scenes. Like I said, there's Cyclops and there's Wolverine having at each other, doing the usual argument, everyone trying to separate them and trying, instead of fighting, let's discuss and reason with each other. We are all mutants after all. The big action sequence, the battle sequences, they're really nice. Cam and Coley on art, and I can't remember who the inker was, but coupled with the inker, they kind of make it like a dirty Bocello look. But it's a fun book to read. I just don't really know what's going on. On to Indestructible Hulk issue 14. I'm sorry, but I keep forgetting that I've got this book. And it's not so much that it's not doing anything bad and forgettable. I don't know, maybe it's not coming out as regularly as it should be. Probably is. I'm just forgetting about it. Does that bode well for me keeping this in the future? I don't know. We've had this Agents of Time storyline, and they've been hip-hopping all over. Hip-hopping? No. They've just been hopping around the time zone, so there's a lot of time travel. We have our villain trying to mess with the Hulk's life, and this is taking it right back to the Hulk's origin, where he became the Hulk. So there's not really a great deal to say about it, to be honest. All we find out really is what happens to the Hulk when he gets hit by a gamma bomb. That's basically it. Wade isn't really throwing his mark on this like he has on Daredevil. Maybe he's too busy making Daredevil the fantastic title it is, and working on the Dynamite series Green Hornet. Maybe he's not putting as much time into the Indestructible Hulk. I don't know. But it's just kind of a middle of the road comic at the moment. We'll see how this wraps up, this storyline, and we'll see if we'll be getting it further down the line. Okay, we move on to Justice League Dark issue 24. And I'm sorry, but I'm still confused over this Forever Evil, Trinity War kind of tie-in, where it lands in the current kind of timeline of DC at the moment. Because I think I said last week with some of the DC titles, they don't seem to have caught up with this event. And I think someone said in the comments was that this was all going to happen once the storylines had all like finished off their current ones, and then either at the end of this year or the beginning of this year we get the whole how this has affected all the titles, with the villains basically taking over. But this is kind of jumping ahead. We've already in Forever Evil territory. We have John Constantine, who seems to be the only one unaffected. All his teammates have vanished, and he is waking up in the House of Mystery. And there seems to be further plot that the House of Mystery and John are somehow bonded, connected in some way, and this is how he's kind of escaped the whole whatever happened in Trinity War into Forever Evil. So he's still kind of alive, even though we know everyone else is still going to be alive, but anyway. So he's wandering around the House of Mystery trying to figure out what's going on, where his teammates are, and all the while he's thinking about Zatanna, who he clearly has feelings for, and we get these kind of he has these visions of them. He's shown like the world how it is now, and there's new writer J.M. DeMatteis. He kind of starts going, well, where does evil come from? And he explains that maybe it's actually humans that create evil. There isn't a place where evil is and infiltrates our world. It actually comes from within us. He's taunted and by this kind of image, this vision of Zatanna, who we find out is our villain of this issue, Nightmare Nurse. But is she as bad as she makes out? There seems to be some connection, some relationship between John and this villain, and she's made herself, for John, a new Swamp Thing. It's a great book. I was thoroughly engrossed in it. I'm just a bit confused with the whole Forever Evil storyline and how it fits in everywhere. It seems to be very kind of higgledy-piggledy where everyone is at. Apart from that, Mikhail Janin still doing great work on this book. Art-wise, JLD, top choice of the JL books. Okay, we're on to issue 32 of Daredevil, and look at the great cover by Chris Samney on the front there, featuring Legion of Monsters with Daredevil smack bang in the middle. And it is a good issue, as always, from Mark Waid. We have the kind of obvious resolution of the cliffhanger of last issue. Foggy was never going to be hanging there from the ceiling. It was a fake out, of course. It's the Jester, our villain of the moment, who is working on behalf of the Sons of Satan to somehow provoke Matt into what? I'm not quite sure, but Matt has had enough and he wants to know what the hell is going on. So he teams up with kind of Foggy to do some research, which leads Daredevil to go and make a visit to Doctor Strange. And that little conversation with Doctor Strange leads him to kind of a hick town in Kentucky, where we have a mob, a frenzied mob, complete with burning torches and pitchforks, running after we don't know who yet, and Daredevil, obviously not being able to see, doesn't actually realise who he's trying to save, and it is of course members of the Legion of Monsters. What is there to say? There's another big shock ending. I'm not going to spoil it for you if you haven't read it yet, but Waid really is packing a punch at the end of every issue. It's like, what? You can't do that! It looks like we're going to meet Frankenstein in the next issue, and well, I'm sure a lot of people are in mourning after the news that Chris Samney and Mark Waid are leaving this title. I think it's issue 26. And, you know, I'm sorry, but I'm going to be kind of glad to see them go. I'd like to see someone else on this book. No, it won't be the same, but it's nice to get a bit of new, kind of, a new look, a new take on a character. We've had these guys on for, you know, over 2 years now, and they've done a great job, but it won't go on forever. So we might as well have a change now. So I'm looking forward to how Waid and Samney are going to wrap their massive run on this, and see what the next creators have in store for us. And finally, The Unwritten, issue 54, and I have an apology to make. Last video I kept saying, and this is mostly to Mr. I Talk Apple and Larassa, I kept saying that Fables was finishing in a couple of issues and restarting at number 1. Of course, that's not the case. This title is the final issue, and in a couple of months it's restarting at issue 1. I apologise. Go read Fables, jump on now, buy all the trades, get all the back issues of Fables. It's well worth it. However, we're talking about The Unwritten, and yes, this is the final issue of what I guess is the first volume of The Unwritten, and it makes sense what they are doing here. We've had this kind of non-crossover between The Unwritten and Fables, and there's fights to the death literally for a lot of characters here, and the cool way they've kind of integrated, again, it's Mike Carey talking about and reflecting on stories and what stories are real to who. We have in here Frau Tottenkinder, Tommy's stories, him as the boy magician, is just as much a story to her as Tommy is to Frau Tintenkind, and all the fables. To him, they're all stories. So it's very, very clever what Mike Carey has done here. We have the bad guy, oh dear, I want to say Mr. Death, but I don't think it is. You know, if you're reading the unwritten, you know who I'm talking about. There's a fight between him and Tommy at the end. Tommy, with a little help from Frau Tottenkinder, what his potential is, what his power is, and then of course there's the shock ending, but will there be, and of course there will be, a rebirth, and hence we're going to begin with issue 1 again. Go pick, I'm really, really looking forward to issue 1 of the Unwritten when it comes out in a few months. For those who've not picked up the Unwritten, let's see, 54 issues, that's probably about 5 or 6 trades maybe. Go and pick this series up, it's fantastic, some great storytelling, some kind of lovely Vertigo-esque artwork from, why do I always forget his name, Gross. Oh, this is just a mess, I'm sorry, but the Unwritten is great. Go pick it up. Okay, that's me done for the week. It was a bit messy in parts, but I got there in the end. I can only apologise. Thank you to everyone who's been subscribing of late. I really appreciate it. Thank you for all your thumbs up, your likes, your favourites, your sharing these videos out. It's so appreciated. Bye-bye.